I'm really interested in the concept of group drive, and I believe I understand what it means, but I'd love to hear just like your initial take on it so we can have a conversation around it.
Yeah. So this is a theory that I learned in one of my social psychology classes, and it comes from the idea of like an in-group versus an out-group, where like an in-group is a group of subjects that like are all similarly meshing. You know, you feel like you belong, you share similar values.
Like a tribe.
Yeah, exactly. It's your tribe. Whereas an out-group, it's like you're a part of it, but like very different beliefs. You don't feel like you belong. And how this kind of transitions over into training is that like if you are a part of like a culture of like high achievers, of hard workers who are pushing themselves, you naturally are going to follow their path. You're going to push yourself. It's like we're, as human beings, we are social creatures, and we are a direct product of the immediate environment that we surround ourselves with. That's why having like a good culture or like a good friend group is so beyond important, because you're going to start to develop the same traits, the same characteristics, the same values as them. So in say like these high rocks workouts that you're doing, you could be doing it by yourself, and it's just like, yeah, like you're going to push yourself to a certain level. However, you're surrounded by other individuals who are working as hard as you, if not harder. You're going to push harder. You're going to continue to work harder. Versus like the out group aspect of it, if you're doing a workout, if you're in a group that like is not necessarily belittling, but like doesn't align with you, you might start to overthink. You might start to like get in your own way about things, because just like, am I doing something wrong? Am I the one in the wrong because I'm choosing to do something different? And this kind of is something that happens a lot of times, where people conform to a group identity that they don't necessarily believe in, because they're more afraid of being an outsider than like, or they're more afraid of like being discouraged and being, I guess, not necessarily hated on, but like nobody wants to be an outsider. Nobody wants to be looked at and be like, that person's not normal. Like, we don't like them. So like these people that are a part of these out groups that don't necessarily align with who they want to be, they'll like play down to that level. They'll get in their own heads about things because they are the ones that are quote unquote different. So whether it be like a team that you're a part of, that you're doing different workouts, or even if it's just like the culture is negative, it really does transition and affect you as a human being, and it affects your performance, because there is no uplifting. There is no kind of like support system there. Whereas like in the in-group, where everyone's working towards the same goal, everyone's pushing each other, everyone wants to see everyone do well.
Couple thoughts on that. And just like, this is my initial just thought. You know, within groups, you can choose groups that you're part of. You can choose tribes that you're part of. Like a team or a run group, a run club. I think endurance training actually facilitates a lot of ability to train with other people in groups. That's one of the reasons that I believe a lot of people are moving towards endurance training. And I think we could probably talk about this, but like run clubs have become so popular over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially coming off the pandemic. There's got to be something there where so many people were extremely isolated, and then we're looking for this group dynamic tribe culture. But you can choose groups to be a part of.
Yeah.
But then sometimes like you're in groups that you didn't necessarily choose, like say work. Say like a business, you get hired by this business, you're now in this group setting, and they are kind of bringing your energy down, or it's not a culture that facilitates or aligns with your values. Those are just my two thoughts initially. And then I guess like a response to that, or just get your thoughts on it. When it comes to like choosing your tribe or your group, I believe you first have to identify what your values are. What do you believe in? What do you want to accomplish? What are your values, your non-negotiables? And that's like the floor.
Yeah.
Like you have to be firm on that.
100%.
And then you find tribes and groups that align with those values. I believe the issue that a lot of people experience is that they say, these are my values, and then they either choose a group that doesn't align, or they're put into a group, say work, that doesn't align, and they conform as opposed to making a decision through courage to leave and find a new tribe that kind of aligns. But I think a big issue that we're experiencing worldwide right now is conformity. People don't want to be on the outside. and they're less likely and not encouraged to be transformative. But conformity is like something they are attracted to because no one wants to be alone.
Yeah. And I think that's like kind of what you were saying with that first part about like the rise of run clubs. And even like I was seeing like there's like an increase in like the amount of like book clubs started, or like the amount of people that are just like experiencing the outdoors and like doing like group activities together, whether it be like yoga sessions hosted in like the Republic Square in downtown. People crave that idea of community. And especially after the pandemic where like you're in this isolation period and you might have spent a little too much time with yourself, you want to be out in the world. As human beings, we are social creatures. We want to interact with others. So there's like that sense of belonging that people are looking for, which is why I think these like increasing group activities and, you know, endurance activities, it's going to continue to rise because people are realizing like, I can find a lot of value in spending time with people that have just like one common trait with me, because you don't have to necessarily be friends with every single person in the run club or every single person in a book club, but it's just like you share values. You share at least one commonality where like, okay, you're headed in the right direction. And I think go into like that group of just like, if you're in a group, unfortunately to say like work, that like you're surrounded by people that don't share the same values as you, that's only like one group in your life. You don't have to conform your values. And it's kind of like what we were saying, where it's just like, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. So if these people that like you are surrounded by are not necessarily in the same or trending in the same direction as you regarding like your values, you don't have to prioritize those relationships nearly as much as those that like do align with your values or do support like the person that you want to become. It just matter of like, you'd have to put in like slightly extra work to then stem outwardly to find that other group of individuals that do support you and do support your values.
In your Ironman prep right now, are you doing a lot of group training, group workouts?
I'm starting to find like other individuals. I think like this first like 2.5 month period, I was so set on like getting a good just like base and just like moving in and whatnot. And especially because I moved here and had about a month till my half Ironman. So it's like, okay, like let me get into a good rhythm. Now that I've settled in, now that I have like an understanding of like the lay of the land, I'm finding other individuals to run around Lady Bird Lake with me, to go on these bike rides, like even like sharing a lane in a swimming pool and you're having a conversation with the people around you. And I think that's one big thing that's helped me to really embrace the culture and continue to just like progress in my kind of like social awareness and just like my appreciation for life, is that the best way to meet someone or the best way to like develop a relationship is if you give like a very simple compliment to someone the first time they ever meet you, instantly they're inclined to talk to you. Instantly they're inclined to be like, okay, like who is this person? Like, is there someone that like I want to develop a relationship with? I'll be like going on like a run on the track and I'll run by someone and I'm like, keep it up, you're killing it. And then after the workout, him and I start talking, or like in the pool, I'm going and I'm like, wow, you're really fast. And me and the girl start talking. And it's just like, these are now people in my life that I can have these developed relationships with, that like I can become a part of like their in-group, or we create this in-group of individuals, because just like, not only are we sharing the commonality of like, yeah, we're athletes, yeah, we're triathletes, yeah, we're training for something, but we're human beings that are willing to talk to strangers, because talking to strangers, like definitely a scary thing. But if you realize at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, like you and I are just people. Like anyone out there, they're just people. So if you treat everyone the same and you treat every single person like they're just like an initial conversation, and you kind of like don't think too much about like, oh, who is this person? Where do they come from? What do they do for work? It's just like the thought of you're having a conversation. It like facilitates developing relationships.
Well, a lot of athletes and a lot of high performing individuals are really good at putting up shields and turning everyone into an enemy. I mean, I will be honest, I've been there. I used to view everyone as competition and naturally everyone is an enemy. And I eventually realized that was so immature, very unprofessional. It was holding me back. It was setting the wrong standard as a leader to people in my life and my business. And I've slowly learned and realized people are only enemies if you make them enemies.
100%.
We can all be allies. I was listening to this podcast the other day about the founder of Whole Foods, John Mackey. And he was talking about this concept of having secret allies. And when he first started Whole Foods, it was just like a market in a home here in Austin.
Damn, that's sweet.
And because, Whole Foods started in Austin, and
I do know that now.
it's
Shit, that's crazy.
the Whole Foods downtown
Yeah.
is like HQ.
Wow.
That's HQ. So like it started here, and when John Mackey started Whole Foods, it was just one store and a house. And it was like the first floor, I think, was grocery. The second floor was like odds and ends for like your house. And the third floor was offices, and they would sleep in those offices.
Yeah.
One store, and all the grocers in the area were buying all their groceries from this wholesaler. And the more stores you had, the better pricing you got because you're buying in volume.
Yeah.
He had one store, and he's buying from this wholesaler. He's getting the worst prices. So what he ended up doing is going to all these other smaller grocery stores or grocery chains, mom and pop grocers, natural stores specifically. He's like, hey, let's create like this parent company that like, owns us, all of us. And because we'll have higher volume, we will get better pricing.
Yeah.
Now they were all competing against each other, but they created like this secret alliance of allies so they could all win.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very valuable because a lot of people that go into business, a lot of people in athletics, everyone's an enemy. Yeah. Everyone's competition. They're only competition and an enemy if you make them that way.
Exactly. And like those small like grocers, like the mom and pop shops and like the Whole Foods, John Mackey, like they created this in-group because they all had the same value. It's like, hey, we want to succeed. And it's like, yes, individual success is prioritized, but as a whole, in order to see that success, you have to work together as a team. As like a group of athletes, everyone has the same goal of like performing their best. But if like one person starts to do better, you're going to see that and you're going to push yourself, and that's going to cause someone else to push themselves. So it's like you can have these different goals or like self-prioritizations, but it's the realization that like you aren't alone in the process and that you could gain significantly more by working with individuals that are going to push you to like want to be better.